Growing up here in Perth, I always knew about the Battle of the Clans, but the reasons that it happened always seemed elusive. Then a chap from Pittsburgh, USA, asked to visit the grave of his ancestral clan chief, and that's when it clicked. If you want to know about the Battle of the Clans, why it happened and how it still affects people to this day, then this is a video for you. If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then subscribe to the channel by clicking at the bottom right hand side of the screen. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Since I was a bairn, I knew that here in the North Inch in Perth in 1396 there was a battle between two clans with 30 men chosen from each to decide a feud that King Robert III of Scotland had been too weak to settle himself. I was led to believe that the two clans were Clan Chattan and Clan Kay, but nobody seemed entirely sure. And they certainly didn't know the reason for this feud that led to a fight to the death. As I grew up, I learned that on the day Clan Chattan were missing a man. Some said through fear, others through sickness. When their opponents refused to reduce their number, Clan Chattan found a man, Henry the blacksmith, who lived in one of the narrow alleyways or wynds on the other side of where those buildings stand in Barossa Crescent today. In return for a payment and a guarantee to look after his daughter should he die, Henry the smith, or Hal of the Wynd, took to the field out here. Apparently he was a beast, and it was due in no small part to him that the day ended with Clan Chattan as the victors. Only 11 of them survived, but every one of their opponents were slaughtered, save for one man who ran to the river and swam the Tay. Apparently Hal of the Wynd, Henry the smith, was offered a home further north with the Chattan folks. And that's what formed the Smith or Gow sept of that clan. But on the other side, Clan Kay were only one of the possibilities for combatants against Clan Chattan on that day. Walter Scott's novel The Fair Maid of Perth, that makes it Clan Kay. But that's a novel, it's not a history book. When people call me an historian, I have to stop them and say, no, I'm just a ball bag with a smartphone and a tripod. Sir Walter Scott was just a ball bag with an ink pot and a quill pen. And a law degree and a big hoose in the borders, obviously. I wonder if I'll get a statue. Anyway, the point is that the historical records are mixed. Robert Mackay of Thurso, the historian of Clan Mackay, he covered the battle in his 1829 book History of the House and Clan of Mackay. And he said it wasn't us. And I believe him. What nobody doubts is that Clan Chattan was involved. Now, Clan Chattan wasn't a clan in the traditional sense. It was more of like a confederation of clans. Now, I knew that, but I'll be honest, I didn't know much more about them. And then this guy from Pittsburgh called Shaw wanted me to show him around when he came to Scotland. Now, you might think that I wanted to say Pittsburgh because you didn't ken anything. Watch my video on General John Forbes to understand why it should be called Pittsburgh. Anyway, this guy knew his stuff. Oh, he wasn't tossing his first caber at Highland Games. Oh no, he'd been here before. And he wanted me to take him to the grave of one of the great clan chiefs of Shaw. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of the guy. The most famous Shaw that I knew was Farquhar Shaw. Now, if you've never heard of him, you should watch my video, The Black Watch Soldier. Now, there's a story. I'll leave a link at the end of this video so there's no excuse for you not to watch it. The point is that I thought I'd better find out about Clan Shaw. And that's where it started to get interesting. I don't know if you've heard of the Macduffs of Fife, the Macduffs, the children of Du, the Celtic king. Well, one of the Macduffs was a guy called Shaw. He came north with one of the Canmore kings to suppress Murray, and he got himself a plum job as keeper of the royal castle at Inverness, an important man. You know, in Irish Gaelic, the Prime Minister, the leader, is called an Taoiseach. It's a bit like in Gaelic, and Toshik means at first, the beginning. Well, this guy Shaw's descendants were called Mac and Toshik. You might say Macintosh. Anyway, they built their power round Inverness and down here to Rothiemurchus in the Cairngorms. A few generations later, the 6th chief of Clan Macintosh married the only daughter of the chief of Clan Chattan. They had lands around Glenloy and Loch Arkaig. Imagine the road from Fort William round to Killalachalsh in Skye, just past the Commando Monument, Spean Bridge, Invergary. You know where I'm on. Loch Aber no more. Now, some of you might be thinking, hold on, that's Cameron country, is it not? That's the Clan Cameron Museum over there, and that is true. You see, the happy couple lived there on Clan Chattan lands at first, then they moved back over here to Macintoshy, Rothiemurchus in the Cairngorms. Well, when they moved, the Camerons started to muscle in that Chattan land over at Loch Arkaig. Now, the couple had 2 sons. By the time the eldest had grown to be clan leader, things had escalated into a full-blown land feud between the Chattan/Macintoshes and the Camerons. Their second son, John Angus, he was the guy that went off and started Clan Shaw, from whom my American friend was descended. Before long, the Chattans became more of a confederation of clans, with not just Macintoshes and Shaws, but also McPhersons, McBeans, McPhails, Davidsons, Farquharsons, and then much later the Tom Cobley clan, led by their uncle. The Clan Chattan Federation was led by the chief of Clan Macintosh. The feud with the Camerons had raged on, including the Battle of Drumlui in 1337. And at the Battle of Invernahavin in 1370, on the side of the Chattans was the biggest, toughest, most fearsome Highland warrior to take the field in many a long year. On a Sunday, he was called MacGillicuddy MacIan, but his pals called him Saith Mawr. This was the man our Americans were coming to see. When Clan Chattan took to Perth's North Inch, not only were they aided by Hal o' the Wynd, they were led by Saith Mawr. And the battle wasn't against Clan Kay from away up in distant Sutherland, but their interminable enemies, Clan Cameron. One of the few men to survive along with Hal o' the Wynd was Saith Mawr. Of course, eventually, even invincible Highland warriors go to that great cattle raid in the sky. And thankfully, I now know where to bring my American visitors. Now, you might be wondering why the iron grid over the grave. Well, on the grave are 5 cylindrical stones, a bit like large cheeses. Some say that there was one for every one of the Clan Chattan men that died at Perth, and that some have been stolen. However, when you hear what happens when one's stolen, that may seem unlikely. They say that in the early 19th century, there was a walker, an English guy. He was in the area and he took one of the stones and threw it into the Spey. The next day, locals found that the stone had been placed back in the tomb, but the walker was found dead in the river. In the 1940s, a journalist contemptuously lifted a stone above his head just to prove that it held no power. Later that day, he was killed in a car accident. In 1978, a guy called Leslie Walker just touched a stone and he came down with a 6-week mystery fever. His friend, who actually rearranged the stones, died of a cerebral hemorrhage the next day. Even a third friend, who was just with them, was hospitalised with stomach pain. This grate is to protect the public from the Botachan Doon that protects Saith Mawr. And if you go too far into the forest, Saith Mawr himself, chief of Clan Shaw, may appear to challenge you to battle. The gripping story of Farquhar Shaw and the Black Watch is here. How many Dochas can be Lama alive? Cheery and Rasta.